I
That
don't
guy,
know.
that guy was amazing. Rest in peace. That soul.
Well,
Anyway.
it is. It feels like my birthday today because the game is launched finally after quite a lot of patience.
Okay.
So it feels like a special day for me. We've got another map of migration. This is Killer Bee. I'm joined for a couple of minutes
Oh,
here by
well, I'm
Milmano.
going right now, so I
Yeah.
am leaving just now. So I'm sorry. We would have got through most of that game, but issues are occurring. Uh, reads were used, arguments were made, and I'm gonna be leaving now.
All
Let
right, man.
Smarty could come and cast with you though. I want to come
Ooh.
back and hear Smarty color cast as she calls it.
Ooh, the color cast. Well, thanks, Ben, for joining, and I'll
No,
catch
no,
you
thank you very much, Ben. I'll see you later.
later on. We've got a brief pause in the game. We've got Hera, Chris, Slam, and Mentalist once again. Huns, Persians, Vikings, and Mayans. Vikings, Mayans, Persians, and Japanese on the Frantic side. It is going to be a 4v4 on migration. Slam having to use a re in the last game because his gold was bugged. Slam's gold is definitely not bugged this game. There will be no debate about his gold per se, but at the moment we have a brief pause and we're going to figure this thing out. Today is my mom's birthday, says Smarthy. Amazing. France won World War One. Russia won World War Two. Oh, that's an interesting thought. I mean, World War Two is tricky, right? Because if you take the Asian front, the U.S. creeping up on that front, the Russians coming in from the north, and the British and French holding the line on the other side, fighting in Africa. Anyway, enough about past conflicts. Let's watch a current conflict. We've got the Canadian A team versus the Frantic China team. Currently, we're tied up 1-1. We just came out of a rematch game where Slam had some bugged gold. So no bugged gold in this game for Slam, who's pushing deer early. The map is migration, so players will start off on a very small island with some pretty basic resources, pretty good amount of gold, pretty good amount of stone and wood, but you have to expand off of this economy eventually if you're going to be able to win, and you want to expand to that central island, which has a lot more space. Not that much wood on this particular map generation. Usually there's a bit more wood in the center, but maybe the SY migration has a tiny bit less. It feels like not very much. But if you expand to this area, you drop some TCs and some castles and start to take it over, then you inevitably have to do that to win. It is going to be a 4v4 here. We've got Mentalist as Mayans. He will be next to his teammate Hera. Hera's got a weird land formation on both sides of his base, which is going to make things interesting for him. Chris all the way to the right. So we've got Slam and Chris on the two flanks. Other flanks will be 5CM in the blue playing as Persians and the purple player Whoop playing as Japanese. Both teams with a Vikings player. We are definitely going to see the Vikings galley spam in this game. But for the moment, we just wait for it to pop off. Players will be roaming around with their scouts, probably pushing some deer and mostly just getting things in order. If you can find a sheep on that middle island with a ship early on, you can do a lot of sheep scouting and it can really help you a lot. In this case, though, this map looks incredibly fair. There's kind of gold scattered everywhere. It's not as though one half of it is better than the other half. It looks about all equal to me. A little bit of World War II. UK won 2 continents. B-sider. Everybody talking about who won World War II. It's kind of a tangent of a conversation Milmano and I were having. But I concede anything because I wasn't alive. I didn't help anybody do anything. I don't really know who deserves all the credit, but I think I'm glad it turned out the way it did. Deer being chewed up right now by Hera. Hera is continuing to push in deer. Nothing too crazy early on. We'll see players dock and start fishing, I would think, right around this point in the game. Talked with Milmano during the re about one team choosing Huns and the other team choosing Japanese. Huns is really nice for Hera because he's really strong with Huns. Once it turns into a land battle, he can probably do a great deal of damage, and he'll be very comfortable with this civ. It's also a great civ on water, one of the top 5 in my opinion, because you don't have to build houses. You save a lot of wood. It allows you to dock a little sooner and build a few more ships potentially. Japanese, though, is a very well-rounded civ. It's not a bad pick at all. But I think the Vikings player here is the obvious answer. Mayans is a pretty obvious answer as well. Can we all agree at least that Italy was the worst ally, switching sides twice? Some anti-Italian World War II tactical commentary in the chat. Anyway, it's Killer B. I'm watching this live. Nations Cup 2017. China Frantic versus Canada A. It's the quarterfinals, best of 5. Only one team will emerge from this. And right now we're on the home map of the Chinese team. This is their choice. They must have a strategy in order. They must have a strategy basically put together for them to try to win this one. Again, China is all the way on the right of the map. We do have the Canadian team on the left. I think it's pretty much equal. Look at it. It's a llama. The landmass is a llama. I think it's all pretty much fair at this point of a map gen. One thing worth noting is the blue player 5CM here does have a really great upper area. He has a great pond or a great sea above him to fish. He's probably got the best fishing of anyone on the map. But Mentalist has really good fish to his left as well. So maybe slight fish advantage for the Frantic team, but Feudal Age coming for 5CM, Slam, and Chris as we speak. Remember, Slam is up here on the top next to 5CM. That's Persians versus Vikings. Going to be hard to stand up to Slam's Vikings here if you're playing as 5CM. So we'll see that fight go down. That's going to be a focus early on in this one. Chris is also on a flank. He is right next to Whoop, and he's going to be up way before Whoop. Chris here playing as Persians with that little bit of an eco boost, I guess. I don't really know. It feels like a late feudal time for Whoop. He's going to be in a little bit of hot water. 2 docks down for Chris, and Chris might be able to take some fishing ships really fast. I mean, Whoop here is, unfortunately for him, basically sticking out there like a sore thumb. At least 5CM will be up at the same time as Slam, and they can fight it out. Both pockets are going to withhold their feudal time for a moment, continuing to fish and gather up food. They're going to think about going to the castle. Just like on a land map, I guess, you can kind of go more quickly to Castle Age when you're in the pocket. But most interestingly and importantly, we've got a player now in the Feudal Age. That is the green player, Chris. Chris at the moment on 2 docks. He's actually building a 3rd dock as we speak. He's going to have galleys pumping out very, very shortly. Just 3 villagers on gold, so he's definitely going to need much more of a gold eco if he's going to keep up that production. But for now, first 2 galleys come out. Whoop is going to lose a couple fishing ships. He's going to lose a little bit of gather time as well. 3rd dock can also queue a galley, but look at Chris's resources, man. He's not going to have enough gold for a little bit to keep those docks going. But anyway, the 3rd galley will come out, and Whoop is kind of taking it on the run at the moment. On the other side, Slam is up as well. He is starting to build out galleys also. 5CM has 3 docks on the side. He's going to build galleys, but he's going to have a lot of trouble keeping up with Slam. That Viking cheaper galleys will help a lot, I think, on that side. Chris still going 2x2 with his ships. His opponent in the purple Whoop has gotten up, but Whoop's docks are a little spread, so Whoop is going to need a minute before he can feel confident to pop these units out. Chris just has too much numbers all up in his grill so early on. Hitler is in the chat, which is really uncomfortable for me, but very interesting chat today, I think, in the channel. We're live here on Twitch. Probably put these up on YouTube as well. For the moment, Slam and 5CM starting to pump out galleys. Total military count 6 for Slam. 5CM has 6 as well. So far, pretty even matchup on that side. Green player Chris, though, is holding Whoop down. He's basically, I don't know, spanking him at this point. It's going to be 5, 6, 8 galleys, actually, for Chris. And Whoop on the other side. Yeah, you know, Whoop will have 5. He's slowly trying to build up. He's actually going to go past his opponent and try to do some raiding. Chris will carve off just enough ships to go and chase that group. In the meantime, Chris continues to pump out galleys on the front of his base to put more pressure on. Slam and his opponent 5CM still kind of squaring off in the middle. Total ship number 8 for Slam. 5CM at the moment is on 9. So, you know, nothing too terribly meaningful happening just yet. Players converting a couple sheep. They might start scouting the center island. We can see Hera is already doing so with some sheep scouting. Hera's economy is somewhat in peril. A couple ships headed his direction from Whoop. Whoop is going to be outgunned here, and actually Chris in the end will just carve 2 ships off to finish the job. Feudal Age coming for Hera, going to be a quick castle for him and the other pockets. But for the moment, Chris actually feels like he doesn't have the right number of ships in this jurisdiction to hold the line, running away with his fish for a moment. So Whoop in the end is going to be just fine to actually sail past Hera and continue to head toward Mentalist. Lots of Xing coming down from Hera, telling his teammates where those units are headed. Mentalist giving a little bit of tribute over to Chris. Chris having trouble, I guess, keeping the gold economy going to keep the galley production. Just 4 villagers on gold at the moment for him. Chris with 3 docks, 3 dock galleys continuing. Mentalist seems to be actually in a pretty, not a full sling mode, but certainly slinging. Mentalist at the moment is, actually, you know what? He is maybe full sling at the moment. Slinging a lot of gold to his teammate, not clicking up to Castle Age, trying to fish boom. Couple galleys in the back of his economy. Slinging has been nerfed on the SY Nations Cup mod. So that is not quite as beneficial as it could be. Chris, in the end, will catch up to this group and sink these 2 galleys. A little bit of harassment in on Mentalist Eco, but I think for the most part, he's still in good shape. Mentalist slinging all of his gold to his teammate Chris. Chris on that side is playing as Persians and is going to have how many warships? 12 ships at the moment. Wow, Mentalist slinging everything, gold, food, and wood to his teammate. Like I said, slinging is nerfed, so this is not a super efficient exchange of resources, but it will give Chris an advantage eco-wise, I would think. If we look at total sling using this overlay, we can, let's see, we can actually see that Chris and Slam have been sending resources, but Whoop has also been receiving as well. So Whoop is getting slung a little bit on his team, and we've got Slam and Mentalist doing a bit of slinging as well. Mentalist, I should say, doing some slinging. Very interesting game here early on. Resources flying around in every single direction. Castle Age coming for Slam, coming for Whoop, coming for Hera, and coming for Tim. So players in the pockets for the most part are going up, with one exception being Slam here on the flank. Slam's got 19 ships. His opponent, 5CM, has 16 at the moment. Equal upgrades for both players. Couple of ships as well for Tim in this area to help his teammate push that side. In the meantime, Whoop is actually harassing Chris a lot. Chris here is in a really bad spot. Chris will lose 1, 2, 3, 4 villagers on his berries by the looks of it, but he'll also lose his food economy on that side. Couldn't come at a worse time because Chris's fishing economy has also been lost for the moment. So Chris is in a tough spot. Mentalist is still slinging the absolute crap out of it. But I don't know if he can prop his teammate up. Tim is Castle. He's going to have War Galley upgrade in. So will Slam, and we will maybe see a fight here. I don't think the Chinese team wants this fight just yet, but they are hanging around waiting for it, I suppose. Slam with 20 total War Galleys at the moment. Tim is he's just got 6 or 7 here, bolstered by 5CM, 16 regular old-fashioned galleys. Slam will micro away from this, put down a little damage while he retreats. In the meantime, lots of Xing on the back of the map. It is Chris trying to rebuild his navy to help himself out. Couple of fire ships here from Hera to try to clean up some of these galleys. But once again, Whoop will pull the old rug out underneath and run or sail toward the back of this economy. He's going to kind of get pincered here, though. This is not going to be a good fight for Whoop. He's got galleys on all sides, fire galleys hitting him pretty hard as well. These ships are going to go down for very cheap. So in the end, Whoop able to do a ton of damage, able to get War Galley in, but will lose quite a lot of ships in the process of doing that damage. And the time being, 100-point lead for the Chinese team. Slam seems to still be 2v1 on this side. Where's his teammate? Great player Mentalist was up really late, still waiting for Castle Age. Mentalist right now with just 3 ships, so he is really not able to help Slam. He's trying to sling. Slam, though, with just 10 military, and he is just going to get swamped out of this. Tim continues to send in units. 5CM still has galleys as well. Slam is definitely going to be losing that side for at least a little while. In the meantime, Chris losing docks on the other side. Starting to lose a lot of territory, and it's not going so well. It looks like right now Canada is in some trouble, baby. Canada's in some trouble. We're going to see fire galleys, or fire ships rather, and war galleys basically coming together to make one push on this side to try to push Whoop away. In the meantime, on the land, Hera has got a couple knights out. We've got CL on the center island, and actually Hera has done a lot in the middle of the map. I missed that yellow color. I couldn't quite see it, but we've got Hera with 2 TCs down in the middle, double stables, doing some harassment, trying to slow his opponents from getting a TC or a castle or anything like that in the middle. You can actually see Hera here with his knights already out to greet 5CM as he tries to get on the center island. So it seems like the Canadian team a little more focused on land, the Chinese team a little more focused on water. We'll see how this ends up. Right now, a couple of fire ships from Hera, but for the most part, he's focusing on getting the middle going, and so is his teammate Mentalist, who will drop a castle and a town center now in the center of the map. So the Canadians are on to the center. They have a foothold. CL also is out in the middle, but he doesn't have a whole lot going for him. Villagers coming out as well for the blue player, but Mentalist is here to scout it, and he's going to tell his teammate immediately, hey, there's some villagers over here, come kill them. And, excuse me, and we will see these knights from the yellow player Hera run over. They should be running over right now to take on these vills. 4 knights coming over. Transport ship is still somewhat close by. First stable is trying to come down, but Hera is absolutely... he is the king right now of the central island, and he's doing a great job to stop his opponents from doing much. Oh no, the knights aren't coming. Oh god, I thought Hera certainly would have seen the X from Mentalist and would have come over to deny this, but he has not yet. Lots of knights from Hera, they're just not here to stop this stable. That could have been really useful. Persian player will be able to build counters if he wants to those knights. Town Center coming down for 5 CM. Town Center will also come down for CL. So although Hera has like 2 knights everywhere on this map, he's not going to be able to stop these couple of villagers. Couple monks in the middle of the map as well for CL might be deterring the knights from coming across. It seems like the SY team is mostly clustered into this one small peninsula on the map. Hera still controls a lot of the middle. He's starting to crank out lots of scouts to go and take on some of those monks, I suppose. Town Center coming as well for Slam. Water at the moment. Who's winning water? I would think it's still the Chinese crew. Sorry for the crazy fast scroll. Looks like Whoop has a lot of water. Pushing Chris into the corner. Slam and 5CM both giving up on water at essentially the same time. Blue player is going to drop off more vills and drop another Town Center. Hera's got so many units here to stop his opponents, but he just hasn't been able to quite do so. A couple conversions will come in, but the monks will go down, and of course you'd rather convert the knights than the light cav. Light cav, in the end, just 2 or 3 converts there for CL. So a pretty nice play, I would say, from Hera, who's going to be able to basically continue to harass the center island. Damn it, Canada, says Europe. Well, Canada is having trouble on water. War galleys from Mentalist are out. We've got war galleys from Tim, though, pushing him back into the corner. Mentalist has a foothold on the center island with a castle down as Mayans, maybe thinking about plumes. Plumes are already coming out. TC's coming. As we said, Hera is going full into cavalry. Villager counts right now are certainly in the favor of Canada, especially Hera on 76. But fishing is probably a very different story. The Chinese team, well, actually similar fishing. Chinese team seems to have a better grasp on water, and you can see that their navies are starting to spread all around the map. Purple player sending war galleys hither and thither to basically chew up Hera's fishing eco. So we're going to have a land economy versus a water economy, and basically a huge navy for the Chinese team, but a bigger army, I would say, for Canada. Canada's still pushing around, but those couple stables are actually a big deal for 5CM. Those could have been denied by Hera. He just didn't quite see them in time. Camels will start to come out, and camels are going to be a real nice counter, along with some monks from the green player. Plumes also coming, rather, from the teal player CL. So Hera here had a monopoly on the center island, I would say, for a while, but in the end he will cede a little bit of territory to the SY, or rather the Frantic team, who's dropping castles and trying to take over territory as much as they can. Canadians still control a lot of the land, but they haven't been able to deny these town centers. They just haven't scouted these town centers to the north. 5CM is going to get another TC down as well. So a little bit of a foothold for 5CM. I would say Canada, though, mostly controlling the middle. Castle coming up here for Mentalist. There will be a TC on each side of it. Very nice little positioning from the Canadian team. Hera is a little bit on his own. It looks like he's surrounded. There's like an embargo around his island by Whoop, which is a real problem. Lots of his villagers here are unable to get anything done. And he's also kind of on his own on the land. You can see that he's landed here, but Chris can't really help him. Chris just has this tiny eco on the back. Chris also has a full embargo on his island, completely surrounded by the purple player. So although the Canadian team has the center island looking pretty nice, they do not look so good at home, especially these 2 bottom players on the flank. And we can see Tim still roaming around now with Galleon. Galleon are going to be roaming in 10 range, so they can hit almost anything on this island, one would think. So Tim's going to continue to harass Mentalist Island. Mentalist will try to boom up in the middle. But I don't know, man. I mean, controlling the water is incredibly important. You want all that fishing resource, and you can also harass your opponent's vills. So though the Canadians have a nice foothold on the center, I kind of am a little worried about them. At the moment, it says that the Chinese team is winning by a lot. And in the end, we will get a GG from Hera and the Canadian team. And the Frantic Chinese team will get a win in this match. So, yeah, the Frantic team just controlled water. They totally had these two islands surrounded. There's probably 40 vills or so on each of these islands who can't work. I mean, look at Hera here. He's under his TC. Everything else is dead. The same thing was about to happen to Mentalist, who was getting surrounded by Galleon. So a really nice strategy there from the Frantic team. They didn't get too worried about the Canadians taking over the land. And in the end, we will see the Chinese team get the win. Pop out of here and look at some achievements. Nomad next is Europe. I hope so. I hope the next one is Nomad. I think that's a good call for the Canadian team. They need a win. It is going to be 2-1 for Frantic. Slam with the most units lost there as Vikings got 2v1'd. Eco stats, kind of hard to bear out the food differences in such a short time, but the Frantic team in the end should have had a lot of free food from their fishing economy. And we'll jump out of this one and get ready for the next one here on the Killer Bee channel. Let me upgrade the scores, or rather update the scores. And we'll be giving a second